There are some crazy people on the subways.
Hey, my name is Laur. I am a content creator living in the greatest city in the world. And welcome to my YouTube channel. I'll take you all around New York City, and I'll record it all on my camera. Please enjoy today's video. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.
So you guys often hear me refer to New York City as the greatest city in the world. And of course it is so amazing, and I am so lucky and thankful that I live there. There are definitely some things that I'm gonna talk about today that people don't really tell you when moving to New York. This is in no particular order. This is just things I thought of at the top of my head from living in the city and living in New York my whole life. And I just also want to say as a little like disclaimer or whatever, this is not a video about me complaining because I am so thankful and so lucky to live there. These are just things that I know that a lot of people are in the midst of their college process, or maybe you're just someone that's looking to move to New York City, and this is great advice for someone who doesn't live here or who hasn't lived here, just because I feel like it's like kind of an insider's view. So let's get right into it. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is that there are a lot of people everywhere, and that's pretty much of a given. Aren't there like 8 million people or something like that? Like, it's so crazy. It's always crowded. It's always crowded. If you think about it, New York City is probably one of the most visited tourist spots in the world. It's amazing. It's wonderful. There's so much to do there, but it can get so crowded, like all the time. Fortunately, I live in an area where it's like kind of like a business district. Yeah, I don't go to Times Square like ever. And if I have to, it's only because of work. I try to avoid it as much as I can. There are way too many people there. No, I don't want to take a picture with Elmo. I don't want your mixtape, and I don't want to watch your show. So just leave me alone. That's probably the most New York sentence I've ever said, but it's so true. Try to avoid the tourist spots, especially when you're looking for an apartment or like a living situation, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Just try not to go over there. I had a friend that lived like right in the middle of Times Square, and I remember trying to like get to his house was crazy. Like, it's just like, there's so much stuff going on, and it's just like, like all the time. And I think the worst part of the whole year is the holiday season for a New Yorker. It's impossible to get around during the holidays. Impossible. They close down bus lines. The subways are always so crowded. Like, it's horrible. Just trying to get anywhere because so many people are visiting, because I mean, like, why wouldn't you? It's great, but it's so hard for people that actually live there to get anywhere. Which brings me to my next point, public transportation. I don't know if anyone here like follows me on Twitter. If you don't, it's laur-yolo 13, just like everything else. But I always tweet about the subways. Like, I love tweeting about the subways. I think they're hysterical. There are some crazy people on the subways, and I love actually listening to the performers. But about the subways, they are always crowded, especially in the morning. I take the E train a lot. Like, that's probably one of my favorite lines. The E train is crazy, like crazy. A lot of people that are getting on and off the E train are either coming from like Queens, or they're getting off at any of like the business districts, which is like kind of where I live. So it's really, really hard to be on the E, especially in the morning. Like, good luck if trying to find a seat. I also have to take the E all the way down to like Soho for one of my jobs. So I'm on the E for like a long time. I actually memorized like the whole E line, so not to toot my own horn or anything. Major lines are like sardine cans. You're like this with people. So just kind of be mindful about like what you bring on the subway. Don't like be waving your phone everywhere. Usually you're like fine. Public transportation costs a lot of money. And that's not even talking about like Uber or Lyft or anything like that. Like, the subway costs money. Like, it costs a lot of money. And I know a lot of people I know just jump the turnstile. I can't do that. I would feel too bad. I personally think it's better to get the monthly. I actually calculated how many subway rides I take and how much money I'd spend over the course of like 2 or 3 weeks. I did this like a couple months ago, and it financially made more sense to get the monthly, and my parents agreed, so now I just get the monthly. You can use it for the bus, the subway. If you want to take like the Roosevelt Island tram, you can do that. It's like for any public transportation, it's just one subway swipe. Talking about the bus, I take like the M15 a lot, but then there's also the M15 Plus, which is like the select bus service. So it goes from like my school to like where I live in like one stop, which is really great, as opposed to like the M15, which stops every couple blocks. Like, the M15 regular is the same cost as like a subway swipe, like $2.75, whatever it is. And any of the select bus services, like the Plus buses, cost like $6 something. So it's almost like 2 subway swipes, which again makes more sense to have the monthly because you don't have to pay that extra however many dollars it is. You just pay for the monthly and you can use it whenever. And the thing that annoys me the most is you always have to take like an extra 30 minutes to get anywhere, just because you don't know how public transportation is gonna be. Even if you're Ubering, like, there's traffic. You never know how long it's gonna take you to get to something, and I'm a person that hates being late, so I always leave myself like 30 minutes, which means I have to wake up like an hour earlier than I actually want to. I have like a photo shoot with the photographer in a couple days, and the photo shoot's at 8 a.m., but it's like downtown, which means I have to wake up at like 6:30 to give myself like 30 minutes to get ready, and then like an hour to get down there. So it's like a whole big thing, but you kind of learn how to like mesh your time. I used to wake up like way too early to get to work, and now I wake up like 30 minutes before I have to leave, and I'm just like, okay, great, and then I leave. You kind of make it a system and you figure out what works for you, but you do have to give yourself travel time because nothing is promised in this city, literally nothing. Next thing I want to talk about is going out and how going out can be a literal financial burden. It really pains me that I even have to say this, but anytime I go out to eat, I spend like probably at least $30 at any given restaurant. And that's not like a Chipotle or a McDonald's moment, that's like at a restaurant. And that's like really sad that I even have to say that, me being like 18 and I have to spend $30 on dinner. Because once you calculate like tax and tip and all that fun stuff, nothing is free. Like I have to pay for like seltzer, and seltzer is like basically water. A big thing for me is, you guys know that I like to eat healthy, and eating healthy comes with a price. Whole Foods is like ridiculously way too expensive. Trader Joe's is like great, but just where I live literally right by a Whole Foods, so it just makes more sense to go to the Whole Foods than to like Uber to Trader Joe's, because the money I would be spending, I spend on the back and forth Uber because there's no subway or bus that gets you there. So, and I can't be walking 40 blocks with all these groceries. It also makes like going out hard because a lot of places are 21 plus, and I mean, like, I don't drink, but like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, like, you guys know that people my age like have fake IDs or whatever, and it just makes going out really hard because a lot of places are 21 plus and you're restricted to like specific times of when you want to go, so you kind of just have to find some like key places that you know are like lenient about like letting people that just like want to like go eat. Like I know there was a place I went with like Ashlyn, and you guys know Taylor and Lauren from home. We went to this place and it was like 21 plus, and we were like, we literally just want to have dinner, and then they let us in because like we weren't drinking. One of my like spots that I absolutely love is like a bar and a rooftop restaurant. It's called Cantina Rooftop. I highly recommend it to absolutely anybody that comes to the city, that lives in the city. It's on the west side. It's absolutely amazing. Great food, great nightlife, so much fun. The staff is so nice there, and they literally know me because I go all the time. I was just there with my friends. A given that you guys always hear is the cost of rent is way too high in New York City. It's coming to the time where I'm starting to look for an apartment, and to make sense getting an apartment financially so it doesn't actually cost more than living in a dorm, I obviously need roommates, and like I need like 3 roommates for it to make sense. I'm not gonna lie, like you're crammed. You don't get a lot for what you pay for, which is like really unfortunate, but that's just how New York City is. And some areas are obviously safer than others, but that comes with a cost. I know people that live literally everywhere, and sometimes for some people living in a different borough could be helpful. Like I know a lot of people live in Brooklyn, Long Island City, which is great. So you just kind of have to figure out what you want and where you live, and then pick the best area based on your wants and needs. Like I said, I've had to start looking recently. I'm obviously a student there, so I'm trying not to get somewhere that's like super far from my school, because like where I live right now, I love so much, and like I would live there for the rest of my life, but like obviously it's really expensive. So you kind of just have to figure out what works for you. So there is always something to do in New York City, always. I hate when people say that I'm bored because you literally don't have an excuse. You are in one of the biggest cities in the world, and there's just so much to do. Sometimes my friends and I will literally just like swipe our Metro cards, get on a subway, and like close our eyes and get off somewhere. There's so many different cultures and neighborhoods to explore, and there's just so many different people to meet. A big thing for me is like, I love people and I love meeting new people, so I just love saying hi to everyone, especially at restaurants. Like, you never know, I've actually made some friends from just like going to restaurants. Just like talk to people. You never know why people are in New York. They could just be living there, they could be visiting from another country. You never know, so it's always nice just to say hi. Like, what's the worst that can happen? And with that being said, it brings me to my last point, that there is nothing like New York City. I don't want this list to seem like complaints. I'm just trying to be real with you guys, because I know that moving here is such a big deal. There is truly nothing like it here. I've been to a lot of major cities around the world, and even in the United States, and it just doesn't have the same feel that New York does. But there is just so many opportunities here. I found that even in my first semester of my first year of college, I've done so much. Where I've gone to explore with my friends, the opportunities that I have, the jobs that I have, it's so crazy, and there's nothing like it. I think that if you want to live here, you just have to know that it's a hustle, and the city is gonna like eat you up, but it's in the best way possible. So there's definitely stuff I'm forgetting, so if anyone has any other tips, pointers, suggestions, please leave them down below. I would love to hear them, and I'm sure other people would like to see them as well. And if you guys have any other New York type videos you want to see, also leave those down below. I hope this video was helpful to someone. If you have any questions specifically about living in the city, shoot me a DM, leave them down below. You guys know the drill. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a like, comment down below. If you don't want to, I don't really care, and I will see you guys in next week's video. Bye! Baby,